welcome back to the Shuffle Squad. Zach Lesage here. Today we're going to be covering over Tera Box, one of the best decks in our post-rotation Journey Together format. Now, this is looking a little bit standard. Not too much has changed here beyond me going for a 2-2 split on the Hoothoots, and the only reason we're running the 80 HP ones is going to be because of Dragapult sniping 60 plus Hawlucha, so we can get past that. But we have some techs like the Terapagos and Cornerstone Ogerpon EX. Again, I said standard. We're going to be covering over gameplay on PTCG Live. Here's the list. And if you look at that QR code in the right-hand side, you can always scan that and it will take you right to the My Limitless deck building page, which has this exact 60. You can always adjust it to however you like and then import it into PTCG Live. Absolutely a great value add to our videos. So if you like that, give this video a like, share, subscribe, and of course, let me know what kind of video you want to see next. Mainly, we're going to be attacking with different Tera type Pokemon, hence the name Tera Box. And Noctowl is going to allow us to search for whatever we want when we have those Tera Pokemon in play. We're going to use cards like Crispin, Sparkling Crystal, Energy Switch, and Teal Ogerpon to power up our Pokemon however we like. We have a really thin energy line, so it's going to be those one Psychic's going to match to the Lillie's Clefairy, and hopefully it matches. Of course, you could always attach it to something like a Fan Rotom to get off a quick 70, but for every move that you make, you might take something off the table. Now, a deck like this is not necessarily going to be attacking with all of these Pokemon every single game. Some games, Wellspring Ogerpon is going to be torrential pumping some 70 HP basics. Other games, it might not be a card that is at all played. So really trying to choose the right attackers for the right situations. I've recently taught a class on this, so you can learn more about that in my Metafy link, and catch the recording. I think it's only $10. Otherwise, we're going to be going over some gameplay here, showing you what this deck can do and how we're going to maximize our odds of playing it. Let's jump into it and see what we have going on. So our opponent won the coin flip. Hopefully we get the opportunity to go first here. We're going first. Tera Box is a go first kind of deck. It's sometimes hard to decide how you want to play this deck, but starting with Wellspring in most cases, most decks are going to have 70 HP Pokemon. So I actually have no complaints here at all. We also have an energy, which means we can just Crispin onto this Wellspring. Playing against a Raging Bolt, that might be a little bit tough to deal with. But that's okay. We're gonna deal with that and we're gonna figure that out. Let's go Nest Ball. And Nest Ball first is going to go for Fan Rotom. Now, when we're going through our deck, we want to make sure that we're looking at all of our options. We can see that we have Hootoots. We also have access to our Noctowl in our hands. Typically, we only want to have one Noctowl in our hands so our opponent doesn't Iono us. Looking through here, you can see that we have our water energy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3. So we did prize a, no, we did not prize a grass. We got the other one. Let's go back. We have our Sparkling Crystal, and I just want to see if we have our Pikachu. Yeah. So Pikachu is going to be really good. So a lot of the times it's identifying which cards might be good in a matchup, because not everything is going to be the same. A little bit worried about our Teal Mask in the active, not going to lie. We could retreat it into, let's say, a Pikachu if we really wanted to. That might be like better, but the odds of them actually getting off a turn 1 attack is like a little bit low. Actually, you wanna know what? Let's just play it on the safe side. Let's go for Ditto Hoothoot. Hootoots. I don't think our opponent's gonna be doing much sniping when it comes down to it, but I think we could just free retreat this Pokemon into Pikachu, transform Ditto into Pikachu, and that seems okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Put that down, retreats into the Ditto. And the reason why I'm going with Ditto here is because I can transform into Pikachu, and that's going to stop our opponent from just taking a knockout turn 1. If they go Bellowing Thunder, they could have just taken 2 prize cards, and then we're in a tough spot. Since they are playing a pretty aggressive deck, and I'm not really worried about the other Pokemon we're putting down, I think going for a Fezandipiti play. Actually, you want to know what? I don't think our opponent's taking a knockout. Let's not put the Fezandipiti down. That's fine. I'm going to change my mind here and see how it goes. Just in case anyone missed the QR code the first time, I am going to include it during the gameplay portion, so you can always scan the QR code right below me and get access to the deck list. You can copy and paste it, adjust it however you like. And of course, if there's anything else that you're looking for, any cards, check out our sponsors at Kayfabe Cards and PTCGL Store, available in the description. They might be able to get you some cards for your deck. Yeah, so glad that we only grabbed the one Noctowl. Reason being is our opponent, we could have quite literally been in a situation where our opponent puts two Noctowls underneath. I mean, luckily here we have the odds of having the Noctowl in our hands, but it could have been bad, and that's all it is. We'll see how our opponent reacts to this. We want to knock out Raging Bolts. Raging Bolts we could knock out with Lillie's Clefairy. So we could maybe go Area 0 and Crispin. That could get a knockout on our opponent's Raging Bolts. It would be a little bit easier than just doing Pikachu, Pikachu, Pikachu. But our opponent also, like, yeah, I think maybe Lillie's Clefairy is a cool strat. How many? It's 40 for each. Yeah, we get the knockout here. Let's just see what our opponent does. I mean, they're not getting a knockout on us this turn because they didn't have all the energies. They've already used their Iono. So we have a bit of wiggle room. We have a bit of time here. Okay, there's their Hoothoot. Yeah, Wellspring, not really going to be our best card here. We did start with it, not too much that we can do. Like, if we could go like boss, bring up the Hootoots, but we also need to play Crispin at the same time. So a lot of your strategies, make sure that you're only playing the, like, in your head, like, don't try to play like more than one supporter, because you can't boss in Crispin. The deck doesn't have Prime Catcher as Sparkling Crystal, so like, we'll see. Probably should have used that Earthen Vessel before putting other cards down. They took options away that they could have potentially discarded. There's an Energy Switch, pretty interesting in a Raging Bolt list. Maybe they play Briar because of that. They've already attached for their turn. Maybe they're going to go Bellowing Thunder. Looks like they're leading up to a Bellowing Thunder at the end of their turn, actually. So we have two ways to go for this. We could go Lillie's Clefairy route, or we could go Pikachu EX route. Reason why I'd probably go with Lillie's Clefairy earlier is because Pikachu EX, it doesn't lock in my Sparkling Crystal play. So we do have a Tera Pokemon. We at least have two Tera Pokemon out in play. I think for me, my answer is going to be using Jewel Seeker. Yes. And I'm going to go for Crispin. We did prize a Crispin. We already have the Nest Ball. Could go for an Ultra Ball here, to be honest. That might be a little bit helpful. Because we might want to have some access for next turn, but at the same time, like, we'll see. Crispin Area 0 are definitely the best cards. We probably just need to go for another Noctowl here. So let's go Area 0 and Ultra Ball. We don't want to discard Nest Ball, and we don't want to discard our other Nest Ball. We've already discarded an Energy, so I don't want to discard an Energy. I think we just discard the Hoothoot and the Bloodmoon, and we'll decide how we want to react to that. So let's go Ultra Ball, discarding away Bloodmoon and Hoothoot. Actually, we probably don't. We could decide what we want to do with Night Stretcher after the fact, and we're just going to search out for our other Noctowl here. We have one Noctowl left, so something to consider there. And before we go with Noctowl, I just want to make sure that I have everything right before I start searching. So let's go for our Lillie's Clefairy, double checking that we have the right energies. So Psychic plus whatever else we need. We have the Latias. That part's going to be pretty cool. So we're going to need a Crispin, and we're going to need something for next turn. I think what we're going to go for here is Noctowl. Noctowl searching for... I want to go Nest Ball to grab Fezandipiti in case our opponent decides to knock things out. So we're going to go Nest Ball and Crispin. That should get us enough things going on here. So let's use our Crispin, make sure that we're using this properly. Let's grab Psychic Energy, and then we're going to grab something that we don't want to use. I don't see us using Cornerstone Ogerpon in this matchup, especially since Raging Bolt does not have an ability. So let's make sure we're putting this in our hand. We're going to attach the Psychic Energy to the Clefairy. Our opponent has a large bench, but they are doubly weak. to Psychic. Something to consider. Let's attach the energy here. Let's put down our Fezandipiti. And let's also go Night Stretcher. You almost always want to have an extra Hoothoot in play. So that's going to allow us to have this going on there. So let's go Hoothoots. We're going to go ahead and retreat into our Lillie's Clefairy for free with Latias. And we're going to go for Full Moon Rondo for a lot of damage. Now, you might be like, Zach, what if your opponent knocks out your Fezandipiti? Well, then we have a Lillie's Clefairy on board, right? So it almost forces them that they, A, have to have a knockout, and B, they have to, not knock out our Fezandipiti. So we have free retreat, we have Fezandipiti live, we have a Hoothoot down, we have a Crispin that we drew out of our prize cards, which means that we could probably attack with Pikachu next turn. And we're finding ways to get our prize cards. Eventually, we'd probably want to whittle this game to knocking out their last 2 prizer with a Bloodmoon Ursaluna. Does this do enough? 30 plus 150, so not enough with the Koraidon there. And that's fine. If Lillie's Clefairy ends up taking 3 prize cards, I'm cool with it. If they end up getting a knockout, I'm okay with that. But obviously, I'd rather them just not take a knockout. Use a little bit more resources than I wanted to. Like the Iono wasn't as ideal. But that's okay. You know what? We have a lot of other good cards in our deck. Cool. Awesome. So our opponent's probably going to be able to do whatever they want with the Noctowl the same way that we could kind of do whatever we want. Because they had those Hootoots out last turn, so I'm assuming our opponent's going to be able to take a knockout, but it is going to require them to get out like Nest Ball Professor Sada. Think that makes the most sense, and maybe they don't have all the pieces. I don't know if our opponent used Fezandipiti at all either yet. They did not use Fezandipiti, so they should have used Fezandipiti before using Noctowl to draw some of those pieces. At least maybe they could have drawn some of the pieces and then search out Noctowl for everything else. The Prime Catcher is going to be interesting with the Nest Ball. Honestly, not sure what they're doing there, but that's fine. We will we'll deal with that as our opponent adjusts their gameplay. I wouldn't be surprised if they're knocking out Fezandipiti. And at that point, then we can go Crispin, grab some of the pieces that we want. We can even grab a Grass Energy attached to Teal Mask if we wanted to. Oh, the Raging Bolt's a little bit interesting. 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy attached to this Pokemon. If they go 3 energies, I've seen some of these floating in some lists, mainly in Japan, but I don't think the Raging Bolt has seen enough success, or that it does enough. It's for each energy attached, 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy attached to this Pokemon. So even if they had 3 energies attached to the Raging Bolts, they can knock out a Hootoots. And then we still just take another prize card. So I don't think it's really doing enough damage here to warrant its play. And it's like cool if you're like able to get 3 energies and start knocking out, let's say, routes early on. If you're playing against a Gardevoir deck, like having more single prize cards against those kinds of decks is going to be pretty cool. Maybe they'll attack into our Pikachu, and I'm also kind of cool with that. We have free retreat here unless they bring up our Noctowl. Okay, they're probably just going to be knocking out our active with Koraidon now, and that's fine. So we're low-key on top deck mode, but we still have access to Pikachu EX. We can still use Crispin to power it up, and then we could take a singular prize card. Our opponent's taking 2. And they've also used their Prime Catcher, so they'd have to go 2 prize, 2 prize. So next turn, if we do, we'll have to see exactly how it plays out. Their Koraidon here is actually being a little bit more annoying. Their Prime Catcher plays a little bit better than I originally thought. But that's okay. We'll deal with it, and We're going to send up a Pokemon, see what we top deck, and go from there. Maybe we just top deck Noctowl and everything's all perfect again. If we top deck Noctowl, I'm honestly not sure what we do. We probably just play Boss's Orders. Boss's Orders here would be absolutely amazing, so we could go knockout and take another 2 prize cards. Probably knocking out their Fezandipiti. Then it gives us a turn to buy an energy. So right now I'm feeling kind of okay. They've also used their Prime Catcher, and they used their Turo, and they used their Pal Pad. I'm pretty sure we can saw block our opponent at the end of the game if they have a Pokemon that they have in the active that they don't want to retreat. So we can always use that to buy some turns. So there's a knockout, cool, whatever. Not a Tera Pokemon, so we don't have to worry about Area 0 Underdepths. We have enough Tera Pokemon in play anyways. So as long as you don't send up Noctowl, you have all these opportunities to send up anything. For me, I'm just going to send up Lillie's Clefairy because it's our attacker in this situation. So that seems fine. And we top decked Grass Energy. At this point, I don't see a reason not to go Teal Mask Ogerpon goes down and just drawing an extra card with Teal Dance. Might be able to even Energy Switch that in the future. Speaking about Energy Switch, we could Crispin onto Teal Mask Ogerpon and draw 1 prize card, not enough for us to draw 2. Lillie's Clefairy is going to be a decent enough attacker here. We can't get the knockout with Fan Rotom, so we can't really balance a single prize card with whatever our opponent has going on. It might be best for us to actually just use Pikachu EX here so that our opponent does not knock us out in between turns. But with us having the Sparkling Crystal, we are going to have to lose all of our energy, so that means we only have 1 Pikachu attack for the entire game. Honestly, I'm going to go for it. Let's go for Metal. Let's go for Grass. So we're going to go... The Grass energy goes into our hands. The Metal energy goes on a Pikachu. Sometimes you just need to buy a turn, right? So let's go. Lightning energy goes here. The energy switch works, so we can go energy switch from Teal Mask Ogerpon over to our Pikachu. We're going to go ahead and retreat for free. And Pikachu is going to lose all of its energies. That's fine. We're only going to get the 1 Pikachu off in this game, as far as I'm concerned, unless we get like a Night Stretcher. But the reason why we want to have Pikachu in the active here is because Pikachu is... its Resolute Heart ability is really coming in clutch here. So if this Pokemon has full HP and would be knocked out by damage from an attack, it is not knocked out and its remaining HP becomes 10. Based off our opponent playing both this Raging Bolt and our opponent playing the Koraidon, I'm pretty sure our opponent does not play the Slitherwing. That is a counter to this Pikachu, meaning that if our opponent does not have Boss's Orders, they're not able to take prize cards this turn, or they're only able to take 1 prize card this turn. So effectively, if I attacked with Lillie's Clefairy last turn, our opponent probably could have got a knockout on our active Lillie's Clefairy, putting us at 3 and putting our opponent at 2. That point, if we attack with Pikachu, we're pushing it 1 more turn. Whereas Lillie's Clefairy, if they do not have Boss knockout on a 2 prize card Pokemon this turn, we are in a very prime position to retreat Pikachu out of the game, attack with Lillie's Clefairy, and then we can wrap up the game with Bloodmoon Ursaluna for our last prize card, or last 2 prize cards. Maybe we could have changed up the order, so we'll see exactly how it plays out, but right now, I don't know if they have an answer to our board state. And if they do, that's fine. Not every game is going to be a win. Especially like that, I feel like that first Iono, like kind of, it wasn't as good as what we wanted to. Their Koraidon into Fez actually ended up being a little bit better. We're kind of drawing rough right now, but we always have our top deck for turn. We always have our Teal Dance, and we might just be able to come up with something here. If worse comes to worse, I'm going to use Saw Block, and I'm going to use Sob over and over and over again on one of their Pokemon that cannot attack. Jamming Tower is completely fine. We can get rid of things like Noctowls. I'm completely fine with getting rid of things like Noctowls. Tool cards, I'm not really worried about Sparkling Crystal this game. So if they do discard 2 Noctowls, the other card we probably end up discarding is going to be Fan Rotom. Right now for Teal Mask Ogerpon, they're doing 120, 180, so they need one other energy on their Teal Mask Ogerpon in order to knock out our Lillie's Clefairy. Okay, there's their energy. So it looks like they might just do 60 damage to our Pikachu. Oh, they still flip the script. One thing that I recommend is doing flip the script. Doing that before you attach your energy. At least gain all the information first, then decide with your large hand what you want to do with your energy. Unless you're playing a card like Iono or there's a reason why you're not doing it. We could have gained things like extra energies. They've locked into a play completely. And that part doesn't really help them as much as they'd want it to. So here's their Thunderburst Storm attack, one of your opponent's Pokemon. So maybe they'll hit into the Pikachu. They don't get enough to do a knockout anywhere. So doing it to the Lillie's Clefairy is not particularly helpful for them. Sparkling Crystal, kind of interesting, low-key. We could put ourselves in a situation where Sparkling Crystal does get us a potential game win. I do probably want to use boss's orders on their like Teal Mask Ogerpon here. Part of me also just wants to use Sob on their Latias because I don't think they have enough answers. So I think what I'm going to do is keep my options open, use this, and I'm just going to try to draw out of this if at all possible. Maybe I should have used the Teal Mask Ogerpon first, taking a page out of my book for advice. Like, again, if we go boss's orders, Sparkling Crystal, we have an opportunity to stop our opponent from doing a lot of things. Let's just go ahead here and go Full Moon Rondo, 640 knockout, and if our opponent takes a knockout, that's fine. We could always pivot with Pikachu EX again. And they'd have to go for boss's orders. Ultra Ball's really good there. Ultra Ball quite literally might win us this game. Because now we can grab Bloodmoon Ursaluna. Well, we can really grab Noctowl search for Bloodmoon Ursaluna, and search for an Earthen Vessel or a Night Stretcher. And that's going to be enough if our opponent knocks out our active. They're not playing Iono on us, so that's fine. So finally drawing out of our bad luck. But keeping the boss's orders there, I think it's a little bit better because it also makes our deck a little bit more Iono proof. Even if they played Iono, it would have been Iono to 2, not Iono to 1. So there's a lot of things that you're thinking and managing when it comes to playing this deck. And I don't think I've played this deck perfectly. It's one of those decks where every single time you play it, you're like, I could have played this differently. I could have gone for a different attacker. Maybe I could have exchanged the turn where I attack with Lillie's Clefairy or I attack with Pikachu. Certainly some opportunities there. But right now, I think we put ourselves in a game-winning position. Let's see how next turn goes. I know we have the Noctowl. I know we have the Bloodmoon Ursaluna. Always check your vitals. Oh, we don't have Bloodmoon Ursaluna. See, this is something to consider. Jamming Tower is a little bit annoying. Definitely not a great idea, though, to be using Jamming Tower against your opponent in this case. I'm probably just going to take away this. Probably can attack with Pikachu if we go Crispin. Like there's a lot of things that we can do. Pretty sure as long as we just go Bloodmoon and like Night Stretcher and Crispin, we win the game. But we'll double check when we search through with Ultra Ball, probably discarding Fan Rotom, whatever card we top deck, as long as it's not great. Reason why we're discarding Noctowl is because you can get them back with Night Stretcher. It's better than discarding a lot of other pieces. So they're gonna go down to 2 prize cards, which means Bloodmoon is -4, 1 energy. So I think Bloodmoon with Night Stretcher Crispin's our best option. We still have free retreat as long as we send up anything. Usually when it comes to Pokemon that I'm sending up, I'm going to send up Pokemon that have the most energy or something to attack. In this case, I'm going to just send up Pikachu because if worse comes to worse, if we pass, Resolute Hearts is in play. So there's a water energy, so it quite literally does not matter. Is there anything else that we can do? I don't think we need Boss's Orders to win this game, so let's go discarding Boss's Orders and Fan Rotom. Just want to double check before we discard the Boss's Orders. Have we used another boss? No. So we have access. Let's choose these. Let's go Noctowl. Noctowl's going to search for quite literally Night Stretcher. And we could have gone Night Stretcher Crispin. So there's Noctowl. We're going to search for the Night Stretcher, and our opponent has no answer. So Bloodmoon finishing off the game against a basic 2 prize card attacking deck. Pretty good option there. We're going to go Night Stretcher here, and just in case there's anything else that we want to do, I'm just going to grab Turo. It doesn't matter, though. Night Stretcher for the bear. Attach this here, retreat, send up the bear, and let's use Bloodmoon for our remaining 2 prize cards and to win the game. Really good game to our opponents. Really good game, actually, across the board. Really close. And there you have it. That's Tera Box in a nutshell. There's 1,000 different ways that the game could have gone, and I'm sure that I'm going to get some feedback in the comments. But the deck worked out pretty well after having that period of dead draws. Our opponent took out our Fezandipiti. Maybe I could have saved an Ultra Ball or something for a Noctowl. But sometimes your deck is just not giving those cards. Not a single Iono was played. Not a singular research was played. So I didn't have a chance to play with a large hand. We were always playing at a small hand. So always have options available. And I think that's one of the things where I kind of showcase in this game. Even though you're playing with low options, there's usually almost always plays and ways to adjust for further turns. List is available in the description, or you can scan the QR code. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you're trying to up your gameplay for any tournaments coming up, hit me up for some coaching. Other than that, I will catch up with all y'all soon. Thank you so much for all the support on the channel lately, and we'll see you with some more content really soon. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes.
Tabi no hajimari wa tsune ni michi e no ippo de aru. Sore wa yami e to tsuzuku. 初めの一歩を踏み出すには勇気がいる。そして旅の終わりには旅を始めた時の自分とは別人になっているかもしれない。旅に出よう。物語の次の章がお主を待っている。将軍の道を歩め。侍の箱とともに。アルティメットガードが送る冒険の第一章。刀将軍の道近日発売。
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed the content that we have today, and maybe you'll click on one of these other videos, enjoy those videos too. If you haven't already, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments what video you want to watch next. Until next time, we'll catch up with all y'all later. Have yourself a great day.